Hi, good morning. Today we are going to talk about myoepithelial cells in pathologic conditions. In the last seminar we saw about myoepithelial cells, their origin, how they are embryonically placed, and their functions of myoepithelial cells. And today we will talk about the pathological conditions associated with the myoepithelial cells and its roles. So there are some morphological spectrum of neoplastic myoepithelial cells. We'll just see what are all the there are classifications on the basis of the cytological differentiation. We have the plasmacytoid variation, where the cells have bright eosinophilic cytoplasm with eccentric nuclei. So since the plasma cells also have the same, they are called as plasmacytoid, and they have hyaline deposition. The other one is the spindle variant, where the cells are elongated, fusiform with pale cytoplasm. And the clear cell variant is, it contains clear cytoplasm due to glycogen deposition. These are the clear cell variants. The epithelioid version has the polygonal with vesicular nuclei and ample cytoplasm. Angulate and basaloid, they have a small hyperchromatic nuclei with a faint eosinophilic cytoplasm. So these are all the cytological differentiated patterns of the myoepithelial cells. And depending upon the extracellular matrix production, we saw that myoepithelial cells, they secrete some extracellular matrix proteins, and depending upon that, how they are different. So the matrix synthesizing ability is modified and augmented with their neoplastic transformation, leading to production of abundance of both basement membrane and non-basement membrane elements. So the most dominant component of the non-basement membrane matrix is chondroitin sulfate proteoglycan, which histologically appears as a bluish grey mixochondroid material and is Alcian blue positive. The eosinophilic hyalinized material, which represents the basement membrane related, this type 4 collagen and laminin, and the interstitial matrix, which is fibronectin and type 1 and type 2 collagen components, are also seen here. So determining the true nature of the ECM, particularly the myxoid material, is important in salivary gland tumor identification. So this plays an important role in identifying what kind of basement membrane or the extracellular, which is non-basement membrane protein, which is present inside the tumor, which helps us to identify what kind of tumor it is. So that is extracellular matrix production. And depending upon the architectural patterns, what is architecture? That is the structure, how it is placed. So according to that pattern, there are myxoid pattern. So what is myxoid pattern? The tumor cells are loosely and randomly distributed through the production of abundant chondromyxoid matrix, commonly seen in pleomorphic adenoma. So this kind of pattern is seen in pleomorphic adenoma, and there is a solid non-myxoid pattern where the cells in the nest sheets are seen with intervening hyalinized matrix, generally seen in basal cell adenoma. The next one is the reticular pattern, where there is anastomosing pattern predominantly of epithelioid myoepithelial cells intervened by extracellular material, commonly seen in canalicular adenoma. So this is how it is seen in the canalicular adenoma, which is the reticular pattern. There is microcystic or pseudocystic pattern, where there is variable eyes and loose cystic spaces formed by accumulating myxoid matrix nests of tumor cells. So this is the pseudocystic pattern. And the last one is the cribriform or pseudo-glandular pattern. We know what is pseudo-glandular, where there is no canalicular formation and the epithelial cells are present. So clusters of epithelioid cell from cribriform structures and the pseudo-lumen due to the myxoid matrix production, commonly associated with adenocystic carcinoma. So here we are able to see the different types of carcinomas and different types of patterns are seen histologically. So which is very important in identification the type of tumor depending upon the patterns. So that is the morphologic spectrum of neoplastic myoepithelial cells. And what are the non-neoplastic disorders associated with myoepithelial cells? So the lymphoreticular cell proliferation associated with atrophy of glandular parenchyma and ductal changes ending in epimyoepithelial islands. And where are these found? They are in the chronic recurrent sialadenitis, Sitka syndrome, Jogren syndrome, and benign lymphoepithelial lesion. These are the non-neoplastic disorders of the myoepithelial cells. Now we will see the histomorphogenesis of salivary gland neoplasms. What is histogenesis? It is synonymous with the cell of origin for a neoplasm rather than the developmental process underlying the tumor. So the cell of origin is histogenesis. And what is morphogenesis? It represents the process of differentiation inherent in neoplasms and the resulting histopathology characteristic for that particular tumor. So that is histomorphogenesis. According to histogenesis concept, the semi-pluripotential bicellular reserve cell in hypothesis, which was given in 1975 by Eversole, is considered to be a main concept, which states that specific reserve or basal cells of the excretory and intercalated ducts or both are responsible for the placement of all types of cells in the normal gland and hence the sole source of neoplastic transformation. So they say the reserve of basal or the basal cells are responsible for the neoplastic transformation, which is the histogenesis concept. Whereas the morphogenetic concept states that the acini and ducts, including the excretory, striated, intercalated ducts, are associated with some forms of basal myoepithelial cells. So we have seen ducts are of three kinds: excretory, striated, and intercalated. We know what the difference is, and they are associated with some form of basal cells or the myoepithelial cells. So the neoplasm composed of luminal and modified MECs. MECs is myoepithelial cells. Can either be benign or malignant. Benign can be with proteoglycan or without proteoglycan. So with proteoglycan is pleomorphic adenoma, basal adenoma. Without proteoglycan will be basal cell adenoma, cellular pleomorphic adenoma, and Warthin's tumor. The malignant form also with and without proteoglycans will have malignant mixed tumor, adenoid cystic carcinoma, that is the cribriform type, and basal cell adenocarcinoma, adenoid cystic carcinoma of the solid or tubular type, epithelial myoepithelial carcinoma, mucoepidermal carcinoma falls under the without proteoglycan group of the malignant classification. These are the luminal and the modified MECs. When the myoepithelial or basal cells are involved, what are the benign and malignant version, which is myoepithelial carcinoma and myoepithelial adenoma and carcinoma. And the luminal or acinar cells, the benign and the malignant version are the canalicular adenoma, ductal papilloma, cyst adenoma. The malignant version has actinic cell carcinoma, salivary duct carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, and oncocytic carcinoma. The undifferentiated cells have only the malignant version, which is the undifferentiated carcinoma or small cell carcinoma. We will be seeing about all these types, the carcinoma types in the future seminars. But the basic classification of the neoplasms is based on the cell types which are involved here. That is the histomorphogenesis of salivary gland neoplasms. Then we will see about the neoplastic myoepithelial cells. So the myoepithelial cells appear to have modifying effect on the biologic behavior of salivary gland tumors. So myoepithelial cells surround benign epithelial proliferation and in situ carcinomas but are absent in invasive cancers. So this statement is very important because when we see a histological slide of a salivary gland tumor, if myoepithelial cells are present, we can classify directly into a benign lesion, whereas if it is not present, we can classify it as a malignant version. And the mere presence of myoepithelial cells can distinguish between a benign or in situ disease from malignant disease. So the salivary gland carcinomas in which there is histopathological evidence of an active participation of MECs are generally those taking origin from the intercalated duct or secretory entities part of the salivary duct unit. In the neoplastic state, myoepithelium presents with the lower proliferation rates than the basal type epithelial cells and secretes excess substances that inhibit the tissue invasion and metastasis. So it tries to prevent the invasion of cancer into the connective. An accumulated myxoid brown substance and basement membrane components contribute to an anti-invasive matrix of myoepithelial salivary gland tumors. So this says how myoepithelial cells are very important in preventing the progression of the cancer and how it is very important in distinguish between a benign and a malignant lesion in a salivary gland tumor. And what are the properties of myoepithelial cell signifying a tumor suppressor role? In the last seminar, I was talking about the function of myoepithelial cells where I stated about tumor suppressor role of myoepithelial glands, and in detail if we see the location of myoepithelial cells, how it plays an important role. It is intermediary between the epithelium and the basement membrane, and epithelium is the acinar cell epithelium and the basement membrane. The surrounding benign and in situ neoplasms, rarely around invasive neoplasms. So they are present surrounding the benign and in situ neoplasms as I mentioned earlier, and in the invasive neoplasms they are rarely found. And the functional attributes of MECs. One is synthesis and remodeling of basement membrane. we talked about the properties of myoepithelial cells. It helps in the basement membrane protein secretion, extracellular matrix protein secretion. In that, this process which expresses laminin, nidogen, type 4 collagen and perlecan is an important function. And index of epithelial morphogenesis, which secretes growth factors and cytokines. As I already said, myoepithelial cells act as a stimulation for the epithelial morphogenesis. Before the acinar cell could form, first forming cell is the myoepithelial cell. And accumulation of extracellular matrix, as I mentioned, it produces interstitial collagen and chondroitin sulfate and proteoglycan. And what are the effects on surrounding tissue in the microenvironment? So it downregulates MMP gene expression in cancer cells and fibroblasts. Expression and accumulation of high amounts of tumor suppressors and proteinase inhibitors. So it secretes high level of mastrin, which is an inhibitor of tumor growth and invasion, and it also secretes tissue inhibitor of metalloproteinase, MMP1, protease nexin 2 and alpha-1 antitrypsin. So these are the substances which is expressed by the myoepithelial cells which prevent the tumor progression. And low level secretion of matrix degrading proteinases, that is absence of stromycin, is the main thing which prevents the protein degradation, and inhibition of angiogenesis. That is also an important function of the myoepithelial cells to prevent the tumor progression. And now what are the neoplastic disorders associated with myoepithelial cell proliferation? Already we have seen of different type of cells which cause the classification, and here only the myoepithelial cell proliferation dependent classification, where we have both benign and the malignant neoplasms, and it is further classified into myoepithelial cell differentiation to no differentiation. So in benign neoplasms, the predominant myoepithelial cell differentiated type is myoepithelioma and pleomorphic adenoma. Partial differentiation happens in basal cell adenoma, and no differentiation happens in canalicular adenoma, Warthin's tumor, oncocytoma, sebaceous adenoma and ductal papilloma. So these are the benign variants of the myoepithelial neoplasm. Whereas the malignant neoplasm, the predominant differentiation happens in adenoid cystic carcinoma, myoepithelial carcinoma, epithelial myoepithelial carcinoma, carcinoma ex pleomorphic adenoma. All these are with the differentiation. Partial differentiation are found in basal cell adenocarcinoma, polymorphous low-grade adenocarcinoma and mucoepidermoid carcinoma. And no differentiation is seen in acinic cell carcinoma, salivary duct carcinoma, hyalinizing clear cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma and orthocytic carcinomas. So when we see about a myoepithelial cell tumor, we have to first find whether it is differentiated, partially differentiated or undifferentiated. Depending upon the presence or absence of myoepithelial cells, we will classify it as benign or malignant. So in conclusion, we understood the various concepts of myoepithelial cells in normal condition as well as the morphological diversity of these cells in various pathologic conditions. So it can be observed that the neoplastic counterpart of these cells shows certain morphological and architectural alterations which are responsible for variations in the histopathologic patterns of the various salivary gland neoplasm. Thus, an evaluation of a salivary gland tumor based on an accurate recognition of myoepithelial differentiation, their various morphological and immunophenotypic expression is essential in establishing a definitive role of myoepithelial in salivary gland neoplasm. Thank you.